You know that feeling when you check your phone and see a notification from your banking app? It is that split second of pure dread. Your heart rate spikes just a little bit before you even unlock the screen. You are doing mental gymnastics every single day just to stay afloat. You are checking your balance before buying a simple cup of coffee. You are standing in the grocery store aisle, doing math in your head, wondering if you should put the premium eggs back. You are declining plans with your friends because you cannot bear to say the words, "I am broke again," without feeling like a failure. It is 2026, and everything feels more expensive than it did even last year. The headlines keep telling us that the economy is recovering, but your bank account is telling a very different story. Everywhere you look, someone is trying to sell you a solution. They tell you to just save more. They tell you to cut back on your streaming services or stop buying toast. They give you this generic, revolutionary advice that feels like it was written by someone who has never actually worried about rent. But I am here to share something that actually works for real people. I am not talking about a complicated financial strategy that requires you to already have a massive pile of money to start. I am talking about something so simple that it almost sounds embarrassing to say out loud. It is a strategy that changed everything for me when I was at my lowest point. We call it the $20 rule. And before you think this is just another small saving tip, you need to look at the reality of the world we are living in right now. Right now, in 2026, over 48% of young adults are living paycheck to paycheck. That is nearly half of the entire workforce, struggling to make it to the end of the month without hitting zero. Data shows that the average person is spending almost twice as much as they actually earn. For every single dollar they manage to tuck away, they are burning through 2 more on high-interest debt and rising costs of living. But here is the most interesting part of that data. Despite being completely broke, over 70% of those same people took some kind of action to try and improve their finances last year. They want to save. They are trying to save. But they are doing it all wrong, because nobody ever taught them how to build a habit from absolute zero. Most financial advice assumes you have a stable salary and a clear path forward. But in the modern gig economy, where 70 million Americans are freelancing or working side hustles, traditional rules are dead. If you are tired of generic advice that treats you like a child, you need to listen closely to what comes next. This $20 rule is going to sound too simple when I first explain the mechanics. You might even think that it is not worth your time. But this is not about the math. It is about hacking the relationship between your brain and your money. It is about creating a habit so automatic and so powerful that not doing it eventually starts to feel weird. Let us talk about what is really happening in the shadows of 2026. The average person under 40 is now carrying nearly $100,000 in personal debt. That is the highest level we have ever seen in history, and nearly 40% of people cannot cover a simple $400 emergency. It is not that they do not want to, it is that they literally cannot. There is a psychological condition called financial avoidance that is spreading like a virus. People are so stressed about their debt that they literally stop looking at their accounts. They let the bills pile up because the pain of seeing the truth is too much to handle. So the debt just grows in the dark, like mold in a basement. Right now, millions of people are working multiple jobs just to survive. The average side hustle brings in about $900 a month. That money is usually gone before it even hits the pocket. It goes to groceries. It goes to gas. It goes to filling the gaps in rent. But the biggest problem with this kind of income is that it is inconsistent. You might make $300 one week and $1,500 the next. Your brain does not know how to budget chaos. Traditional advice tells you to save 20% of your income, but how do you calculate 20% of a heart attack? Before I show you how to make the $20 rule stick, you have to understand why everything else you have tried has failed. You have probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. It looks beautiful on a spreadsheet, but it is absolutely useless when you are broke. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, there is no 30% for wants. There is 95% for survival and 5% for hoping your car does not break down this morning. Second, that rule assumes you have a steady, predictable income. But for the 70 million people in the gig economy, income looks like a mountain range. Here is what happens when you try to follow traditional advice while you are struggling. You set up an automatic transfer for your savings. It feels good for about 3 days. Then you need gas for work. Then a subscription you forgot about pulls money from your account. Suddenly, you are transferring that savings right back into your checking account just to avoid a bounced check. Now you feel like a failure. You have proven to yourself once again that you cannot save money. The shame spiral starts all over again. Or maybe you have been told to build a 6-month emergency fund. That is great advice, but it is like telling someone who is drowning to just go and win an Olympic gold medal. It is not the first step. We are not fighting mathematics here. We are fighting human psychology. The $20 rule: fight psychology with psychology. So here is the rule in its simplest form. Every single time you get paid, I mean any payment at all, you put $20 into a separate savings account. Whether it is your main paycheck, a gig shift, a freelance project, or even $20 from your grandmother for your birthday, $20 goes to the vault. I can hear the skeptics already. You are thinking that $20 is not going to change your life. You are thinking that it is too small to matter when you owe thousands. But you are wrong. Because this is not about the amount of money. This is about building a psychological barrier between you and the feeling of being completely broke. It is about training your brain to realize that you are the kind of person who saves money. Here are the actual mechanics of how you execute this. Step number yet. You must open a brand new savings account. It has to be new and it has to start at zero. Do not use the account you have been shuffling money in and out of for the last 3 years. You need a fresh start and a clean slate. You need to give this account a name that actually means something to you. Call it the Freedom Fund, or the Vault, or the finally not broke account. It needs to make you feel something when you see the name on your screen. Most banks in 2026 allow you to open a sub-account in less than 5 minutes on your phone. Do not spend days researching interest rates. That is just another way to procrastinate. Just pick one and open it today. Now, here is the most critical part of the strategy. You must choose a threshold. This is the amount of money you need to receive in a single payment to trigger the $20 transfer. For most people with a regular job, it is just every paycheck. If you are a freelancer, maybe your threshold is $150. If you make $150 or more, $20 goes to the vault immediately. And here is the rule that breaks all traditional wisdom. You cannot automate it. I know every financial guru tells you to set it and forget it, but for this to work, you need to manually push that button every single time. You need to feel the money leaving your hand. You need to watch the balance in that new account go up by $20. You are creating a new neural pathway in your brain that says, I just got paid, now I save. You do this again and again. Every time you hit that threshold, boom, $20. Maybe you hit it 3 times in 1 week. That is $60. That is real money starting to stack up in a place you do not touch. Let us pause for a second, because I know you are doing the math. $20 a week is only $80 a month. You think that is nothing. But $80 a month is infinitely more than the $0 you are saving right now. It is also the difference between a minor inconvenience and a total life crisis. More importantly, it is the habit that matters. Once you get used to that $20 disappearing and your life not falling apart, something happens. You start to wonder if you could do 30. Then you wonder if you could do 40. I have seen people go from saving absolutely nothing to putting away hundreds of dollars a month just because they started with 20. Let us look at the reality of financial literacy in 2026. Recent scores show that most young adults are failing basic financial knowledge tests. Schools are not teaching this. Parents are often just winging it themselves. But despite the lack of formal education, something incredible is happening. There are over 5 million freelancers right now making over $100,000 a year, and almost all of them started with side hustles making less than $1,000 a month. What is the difference between someone who stays stuck and someone who scales their income? It is not just luck. It is financial confidence. It is the kind of confidence you build by proving to yourself that you can be consistent. A study on gig workers found that those with even a small emergency fund of $500 were 3 times more likely to increase their income the following year. Why? Because they had breathing room. They could take risks. They could invest in better equipment. They could turn down bad clients who are wasting their time. The $20 rule creates that breathing room. Because it is in a separate account, your brain stops seeing it as available spending money. In your mind, that money is just gone. This works perfectly for the gig economy because your income is chaos. 1 month is great. The next is a struggle, but $20 is a constant. You always know what $20 is. Your income is inconsistent, but your savings habit is now a rock. That is the ultimate hack. We are halfway through this journey, and I have not even told you the best part yet. What happens after you build that first small pile of cash? In 2026, financial responsibility has become one of the most attractive traits in a partner. People are tired of the stress and the drama of being broke. They are looking for someone who has their life together. When you build stability, you are not just changing your bank account, you are changing your entire life trajectory. I recently heard from someone who used this rule to save $1,200 over 7 months. It was not life-changing wealth, but it gave them something they had not felt in years. They went out to dinner with their family, and they did not check their bank balance first. They did not calculate the tip in their head with fear. They just ordered what they wanted and enjoyed the moment. That is what real freedom looks like. It starts small, but it grows into something massive. Let us break down the 4 reasons why the $20 rule works when every other budget fails. First, it is simple enough for a tired brain to remember. In 2026, we are all exhausted. We are juggling work, family, social media, and the constant noise of the world. Adding a complex percentage calculation to your Friday night is not going to happen, but you can always remember $20. Second, it gamifies the experience. When you start to care about the number, you start to protect it like a high score in a video game. You become invested in the outcome. Third, it is zero risk and completely flexible. You're not locking this money away in some retirement fund you cannot touch for 40 years. It is right there in a savings account. If your car dies or your phone breaks, the money is there to save you. There is no penalty, and there is no shame in using it for what it was meant for. The goal is to handle the emergency without going into more debt. Each time you use it and rebuild it, your habit gets even stronger. Finally, it changes your identity. When you are broke, you tell yourself a story that you are bad with money. You believe that you are someone who cannot save. But after a few weeks of the $20 rule, that story starts to change. You are now someone who has a savings account. You are someone who is building wealth. Once your identity shifts, your actions follow naturally. You start looking for extra shifts or better opportunities because they align with the person you have become. I know someone who saved $2,000 using this exact method. When their laptop finally died, they did not panic. They bought a replacement with cash and still had money left over. The most important thing they told me was how calm they felt. That calmness is the true goal. So, here is exactly how you start today. Do not wait for tomorrow or your next big check. Step 1 is to open that new account right now. Most apps will let you do it in minutes. Step 2 is to decide your threshold. Pick the number that triggers the transfer. Step 3 is to make your very dull TN deposit of $20 right now. Even if you have to move it from your checking account today, just start the process. Prove to yourself that you can do it. Step 4 is to track it. Check that balance once a week and let yourself feel good about the progress. Avoid comparing yourself to people who are already millionaires. You are not competing with them. You are competing with the version of yourself that had $0 saved last month. Do not get discouraged if you have to use the money. That is what it is for. Using your savings for an emergency is a massive success, not a failure. And most importantly, do not wait until you are making more money to start. That day rarely comes on its own. You have to start with what you have right now. Think of your money in levels. Level 1 is building the $20 habit. Level 2 is increasing the amount when you feel ready. Level 3 is hitting that first $1,000 milestone. Level 4 is pushing toward 3 months of expenses. It might take a year or more to get there, and that is perfectly okay. You are building a foundation for the rest of your life. Someone who started this in early 2025 ended the year with over $1,000 saved. They handled 3 different emergencies without using a credit card. They ended the year with peace of mind while their friends were drowning in new debt. The $20 rule will not make you a billionaire overnight, but it will give you something much more valuable. It will give you the difference between panic and peace. It is the difference between feeling like a victim of the economy and feeling like the master of your own future. In 2026, don't be part of the statistic that cannot handle a crisis. Start with $20. Build the habit. Watch it grow. You have the power to change your story starting today. The only question left is whether you are going to take that first step. I think you already know the answer. Go open that account and put your first $20 in the vault. Your future self is already thanking you.